when is the first time you remember getting an unsolicited email?
I was only 13. I had just opened my first email account. It was all exciting and new. And then, like, 24 hours in, I get my first, my first marketing email. And it just went all downhill from there. I've had newsletters from websites I don't remember visiting. I've had e-commerce sites that I unsubscribed from tell me they're updating their terms of service. I purposefully hit no to receive special tips and offers, and still, they don't stop. It's endless. And these marketers, these evil, conniving, backwards, morally bankrupt marketers, they have the audacity to think I would ever care about their product. Just because they magically appeared in my inbox. They just invite themselves into my private life and there's nothing I can do about it. And the worst part of it is, they actually think that what they're doing is legal.
In 2013, veteran tech journalist David Spark had an internet spar with Hilton Hotels. In a dramatic tweet-by-tweet account, David attempted to discover exactly how long it would take for them to stop emailing him, following up the story on his own personal blog, Spark Minute. In 3 days, I received 5 emails from Hilton, and I unsubscribed 5 times. They said they would take care of it and to allow up to 48 hours. A week passed, and I received my 8th email after all this nonsense. I got an email back from another representative, apologizing now, saying that it can take up to 10 days for the emails to stop. I heard back from her supervisor, explaining that it can take up to 3 weeks to be completely removed from emails. After publishing this article, a rep assured me that all users are unsubscribed within 10 days. He said, "This has been verified and tested." I guess that testing and verification process works as well as their email marketing system, because I just received my 10th email now, more than 12 days since my first unsubscribe. A few years later, in 2019, on the Backwater forum Hacker News, user Scop posed the question, why does unsubscribing from a newsletter take a few days? User Jake Stone, who revealed that he worked in a department that sent out around 2 million emails a day, said that typically you do get removed from the email lists within 2 seconds of clicking the button. However, we already placed you in the queue for our most recent mailing about 4 hours ago, and you're going to get the last one from us anywhere within 2 seconds from now to maybe late tomorrow. It's kind of like loading a gun and then handing it off to someone else to fire it. You can't exactly ask them to unload while they're in the middle of shooting. But other replies were not so certain. If you were talking about the difference of a few minutes, then sure, I'd let it pass. But hours? No, that's ridiculous. The reality, it's financially a waste of time for a company to create an A+ offboarding experience. Getting 1 to 2 extra emails isn't the end of the world. It's good enough for the company, you get off the list, they don't have to think about that unprofitable problem any further. Then, 1 year later, a voice of reason entered the chat, lending credible studies to help blossoming marketers understand why people unsubscribe from your email list, and why it's not always a bad thing.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
This blog post from GoDaddy attempted to look on the bright side of tragedy by reminding us that, as counterintuitive as it sounds, it's not always a bad thing to lose a few subscribers. You just want to make sure you're losing the right subscribers, which is to say, the wrong subscribers for your company. Most of the studies linked were to websites of companies that had already capsized in the year since publication. At least 4 references were still accessible, for now. Although in a somewhat patronizing tone, the author provides the following reasons for why people might unsubscribe from marketing emails. Number 1. Too many emails. While the rule of thumb we found is generally to err on the side of more, not fewer emails.
But wait! There's more!
There's nothing you can really do about the people who unsubscribe because they feel like they get too many emails in general. I mean, you could create a webinar on how to be more judicious with sharing your email address to reduce inbox oversaturation.
Sometimes my genius it's almost frightening.
But the top answer in every study on why people unsubscribe comes down to too many emails. which makes you wonder why they subscribed in the first place, but I'm not a psychologist. I'm a guy writing on an e-commerce blog. So I'll just speculate it has to do with either nihilism or issues with their parents and move on. 2. Irrelevant emails. Personalization involves more than putting a subscriber's name in the subject line, though that's part of it. It's sending your subscribers emails tailored to things like their preferences, interests, and purchase history. 3. Boring, repetitive, or otherwise bad content. Ideally, your subscribers would be excited to see an email from you show up in their inbox because they know it'll be interesting, or informative, or funny, or valuable, or helpful to their lives. But when it's none of those things, that's when you can expect the subscriber exodus to commence. It can also be worthwhile to send emails from time to time that aren't focused on selling something and instead focus on getting to know your customers, celebrating them, finding out what they want, and determining how you can fit into that role in their life.
No! God, please, no! No!
4. Bad design. If you're worried your designs might be bad, try stripping things down to the fundamentals. Check out this email from the candy company Smart Sweets.
No! No!
Now for number 5, the author suddenly switches to a somewhat more relatable tone. It's happened to all of us. Suddenly, some company starts sending you emails that you never asked for. Maybe they automatically subscribed you when you bought something, maybe they got your email by buying a list, or maybe your friends thought it'd be funny to sign you up to 17 different florist email lists after, in a regrettable moment of oversharing, you mentioned you love the smell of fresh cut flowers filling the house in the morning.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter how good those marketing emails are. You didn't want them. That's why, for the long-term health of your email list, it's a good idea to do a double opt-in. That means a person doesn't just have to enter their email on your site to subscribe, they also have to click a button in the subsequent confirmation email they receive to complete the subscription process. By adding that extra confirmation step, marketers run the risk of losing out on 20 to 30% of potential new subscribers. That is, the actual number of people who don't give a about their newsletters and product offers. So it makes sense that most marketers wouldn't use this method since they stand to lose so much. But one article linked by our patronizing blogger actually went against the grain. In a post by the company HubSpot, we find a somewhat more self-aware story about how this company, who essentially markets marketing tools, had the wherewithal to cut down on their own email list of subscribers. A few weeks ago, we deliberately unsubscribed 250,000 people from HubSpot's marketing blog. The subscriber purge brought our total subscriber count from 550,000 down to 300,000. According to their own admission, many of their subscribers were signed up merely by visiting the site and entering their email in a text field at some point, unconsciously inviting HubSpot to send anything they wanted to their inbox without ever having checked a box to allow this. This type of subscription garnering is called gray mail, where the victim simply entered their email as a means to receiving something like a discount code, without ever expressing interest in any other product from the website. It's also known as a frictionless opt-in, where there are as few steps as possible to snagging a new customer. This is the method that most web marketers will try to use on you. That's why this blog post from HubSpot is so surprising. Even though they seem to be really tooting their own horn here about how selfless they were to remove themselves from people's inboxes who never asked them to be there, at least they did that. Most marketers seem baffled by the idea that people wouldn't want their communications cluttering up their inboxes, even when all the data points to less is more. This graph shows how much people actually want to interact with these emails. At least monthly, around 85%. At least weekly, down to 60%. And daily, we're all the way down at like 15%, which is nearly identical to the amount that never want emails. While the rule of thumb we found is generally to err on the side of more, not fewer emails, HubSpot is an example of doing it right, not aiming for the highest numbers, but rather for the most engaged audience, showing that they care about fostering a good consumer relationship rather than barraging random inboxes to get ahead at all cost. So, what can I say? Not all marketers are evil. Even GoDaddy seems to concede that a large email list of lukewarm or cold leads won't be as valuable to you as a somewhat smaller list of active, engaged leads. I'm not sure I appreciate being called a lead in this scenario, but I'm splitting hairs. However, the reason GoDaddy finds this important is not for some magnanimous reason, but rather that having a more engaged audience means you're less likely to be reported as spam. And it's better for someone to unsubscribe than to report you as spam. Because 1 in 3 email addresses is at gmail.com, and Google learns very fast from the spam button. And reading further, it would seem that HubSpot has a similar motivation. Although it's not considered spam, sending gray mail is problematic because it can hurt the deliverability of your email overall. Tipped off by low engagement rates, email clients may deliver email from known gray mail senders straight to recipients' junk folders, even for brand new subscribers who haven't even had the chance to engage with your email. Oh, boo-hoo for you. What really hurts email marketers who you can't get rid of is not unsubscribing, but hitting that spam button. But we can go deeper. For those marketers who actually won't stop sending messages after you've unsubscribed and hit spam, we have a legal precedent. And this I learned from our old friend, David Spark. Way back in 2013, when he was told that it can take up to 3 weeks to be completely removed from emails, Spark replied that they were in violation of the CAN-SPAM Act, which says you need to remove people within 10 days after unsubscribing. What, pray tell, is the CAN-SPAM Act? The CAN-SPAM Act, a law that sets the rules for commercial email, establishes requirements for commercial messages, gives recipients the right to have you stop emailing them, and spells out tough penalties for violations. That means all email. For example, a message to former customers announcing a new product line must comply with the law. Each separate email in violation of the CAN-SPAM Act is subject to penalties of up to $46,517, so non-compliance can be costly. Here's a rundown of CAN-SPAM's main requirements. Don't use false or misleading header information. Don't use deceptive subject lines. Identify the message as an ad. Tell recipients where you're located. Tell recipients how to opt out of receiving future email from you. Your message must include a clear and conspicuous explanation of how the recipient can opt out of getting email from you in the future. Honor opt-out requests promptly. You must honor a recipient's opt-out request within 10 business days. Once people have told you they don't want to receive more messages from you, you can't sell or transfer their email addresses, even in the form of a mailing list. Monitor what others are doing on your behalf. You can't contract away your legal responsibility to comply with the law. What do you have to say to this? This might rustle some jimmies, but I don't really think the customer always knows what they want. You know, email is one of the best inventions of the 21st century. It would be a crime not to use it to its full potential. And what do they say is the best marketing is word of mouth. And how are you gonna get any word of mouth if you don't have email, right? You know, you wouldn't have any products out there if it wasn't for marketing. Sorry. We're like Santa's little helpers, you know, like we're there whenever you need us, and we're there whenever you don't need us, or like when you don't know that you need us, you know? And my company, SignUp.2, has pretty much been in the business like since day one, and like we're still going strong, you know? We're still connecting our clients to those customers and making those unique, like special, you know, really unique a relationship. I'm sorry. What? Hold on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My boss keeps emailing me. Can we do this another day or something?
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like I'm not sure. Like.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Is that good? I think that's good, right?
Yeah.
Like you can use that. That's enough.
Of course.
All right. Yeah. Let me know when it's posted, man. Email is for jobs, tracking orders, sending files. It's for personal and important stuff. My stuff, not your stuff.